Let me share, first of all, that in our 2021 member survey, our data shows that coaches are older in more established regions such as North America, Western Europe, and Oceania. And our coaches tend to be younger in emerging regions such as Asia, Latin America, Caribbean, Eastern Europe, and Middle East and Africa. And there tends to be more millennial coaches in the emerging regions and more boomers in the established regions. In the forthcoming panel discussion, we'll hear from chapter leaders around the world as they talk about strategies to engage members of the younger generation. The questions that I'll ask the panelists will be in the chat for you to follow along. And please join me as we welcome our three special invitees tonight, and Carrie Williams, PCC, Flame Schoeder, MCC, and Tomas Pesek, PCC. Please welcome them. Good to have you with us. And maybe if I ask Carrie first to introduce herself.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. I am Carrie Williams. I am the current president of ICF Los Angeles, and we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. I have been a coach for over a decade now. I am a PCC, but have applied for my MCC. I'm in that limbo of waiting anxiously, and I'm really excited to be a part of today's panel. So thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and good luck with that. Maybe come to Flame next to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Congratulations, Carrie, on applying for your MCC. I remember doing that a couple of years ago. My name is Flame Schoeder. I am a past president of ICF Nebraska in the center of the United States. I've been a coach for about 18 years and got my MCC in 2020. I'm also a mentor coach, and I'm really glad to be on this panel today. I got to go to the very first Global Leaders Forum back in the day in person, and it's so fun to be with all of you here today.
Great to have you, Flame. So you're part of the history here. And last, Tomas, if we can hear from you.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Tomas Pesek. I'm from Slovak Charter Chapter, and I'm part of the board for 4 years. And last year I was also awarded as a Young Leader Award. I guess it was linked with the work that I do also with young generation and with training, coaching and coaching approach to youth workers and teachers. So my point of view will be also influenced a little bit from this perspective into this panel. And I'm looking forward to the discussion and inspirations.
Welcome, Tomas, and congratulations on your Young Leaders Award. That's great. Now, first question, and I'm going to come to you first, Carrie, with this, so I'll put you on standby. You know, how are the strategies different for engaging members of younger generations, Gen Y, Gen Zs, in your view?
So I think it's really similar, but I think that Gen Y and Gen Z are really dedicated to living their values and their purpose. And so they're really attracted to values-based industries. We see that in where they're spending their dollars. We see that in where they're spending their time. So they want to be a part of a chapter that walks the walk and not just talks the talk. So I think that's first, is to be really clear on what is the value that you bring and give, and what is the impact that you have, and how are you living the values and not just espousing them to the world.
Great, Carrie. I love that, walking the talk. Tomas, your thoughts on that question, please.
Well, I also, the purpose, I would completely agree. Yes, it's also what we do and why we do. There is also one more thing. I think they appreciate a lot individual approach. And we have also, I mean, some of my colleagues are here. We also have one, our colleague in the board, Zuzka, which took on her shoulders to, if we have potential new members, to individually call them and set up a meeting and explain all the things which are there. So, and also it was in the presentation before, so they would need to know what exactly is there if they're becoming a member, what are the benefits, and why should they? Yeah, so this is also important very much to explain. So these are just a few things which came to my mind, but I leave the space also for Flame.
Yeah, very much agree with you around that customized personal approach. And Flame, what would you add?
I totally agree. It's so relationship based when it comes to these younger generations. They want to feel a sense of belonging. And the more we can embrace them, the more they feel that. The other big thing that I notice is that the younger generations want to spin up their business quickly. They want to be successful quickly. They want to know the secrets. They want to know the inside track. So we've identified people in our chapter who can support them to do that. Maybe not, hold their hand the whole way, but someone who they can always call if they have questions, in almost more of a mentoring role, but very much a partnership.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one, that the pace, their expectation is much faster, quicker.
Yes.
I might move on to my next question, and Tomas, come to you first in terms of what partnerships you believe would benefit your chapter to help bridge this gap into the younger generation.
When we are at the purpose that we also have an experience that they are very sensitive to the things which are happening around in society. And I believe that the young generation doesn't only want to see us as professionals, which develop the coaching profession, but how much we also really help the world to develop or to change for the positive changes in society. So, I mean, for example, being involved in more pro bono coaching through Ignite projects, for example, that's something which is very tempting, and that is something they hear on, like if we have these kind of partnerships. For example, this I see might be a big beneficial, and then I've also a link with the coaching schools, but then I maybe come back to it in the third question, because I think it belongs more there.
Great, thank you. Flame, what would you add to this one?
In our chapter, one of our best partnerships has been with a local university who has an MBA program. So we offer free pro bono coaching to those students who wish to be coached. And this has so many benefits, because then people who will be leaders in our community are getting introduced to coaching through professional coaching early. And they get to know what ICF Nebraska is, that we're a resource. If you're looking for a coach, you can always go to our website, and there's a list of coaches with different specialties, different focuses. And hopefully we hope some of them come back and ultimately become coaches. But that kind of partnership builds so much community connection, which again, for the younger generations, is such a huge focus for them. They want to see that social impact happening. And we believe this is a way to help them find community partners who want that same thing.
And Flame, could I ask you, because there's probably a lot of chapter leaders in the audience thinking, hey, yeah, I know a few business schools. How did you kind of establish that partnership?
Well, we were lucky that one person in the administration of that university is a coach and came to our chapter. So then that started conversations between him and the board. But if I were to start from scratch, what I'd be looking for, Linda, is a school that is not necessarily a big, huge university chain, but a smaller local school where they have a personal approach and they really want the success of their students through that personal approach, because then it dovetails so perfectly with individual coaching.
Yeah, great, thank you. Carrie, your thoughts on this one?
So we are in the very early stages of a pilot program that's very similar to Flame. So we're going to be working with USC's Executive Master of Leadership program. And we're working with a woman there who is a coach herself, is an advocate and an ally of coaching. And so it makes it a really great fit. I think that the earlier in life we can connect with the next generation and share the benefits and value of coaching, the more we can make them advocates and allies. And when they are allies, they are the strongest allies out there. I think also the other partnerships that really benefit the next generation is aligning with nonprofits or corporations that already have their trust and already aligned with their values. So if they see that a company or a corporation that they really agree with is using coaching, they're more interested in coaching. If they see a celebrity that they follow and the celebrity says, oh, I talked to my coach today, they go, wait, a coach, I need a coach as well. So I think that there's a lot of influence in those strategic partnerships that we can leverage in a really positive way. And I think that goes with nonprofits as well. If we're following the idea that they're very purpose-driven and values-driven, where are they giving their time? And if we can give our time in those same places, then that shows an alliance and it shows a communion of values.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that it is a lot about that soft influence. And how do you think we can get people to speak coaching up, if you like?
Well, that's the question, right? I mean, so we're in Los Angeles, which is the home of Hollywood. So you would think it would be easy, but I think it's really getting our clients comfortable talking about coaching and advocating for coaching. I think I have clients that shout it from the mountaintops, and I also have clients that won't tell anyone that they're in coaching. And I think that the more we can normalize, and not just normalize, but really make it an enthusiastic endorsement, because we don't want coaching to be normal. We want it to be exciting and something we all strive to have and be part of, not just normal, because nobody wants to be normal. We all want to be special. So the more we can sell coaching as special, and it will help you become more special, I think that's a really strong message that we can share.
Yeah, powerful. Thank you. And maybe move to our next question. And I'm sure we might have some questions in the chat from the audience for you as well. So younger generations are growing up with the awareness of the coaching profession. We know that from our latest consumer awareness study. Many have their own coaches. Many are interested in adding coaching skills to their knowledge base. So as chapters, how can we be proactive and become part of that journey? And maybe if I come to Flame first.
I'm going to build on what Carrie was just saying and then loop back to this, that I personally want to see coaching be viewed as a profession, just like we would view doctors, lawyers, accountants, people with serious technical skills and training who are offering something incredibly valuable and transformative, right? And when we, and this is why I'm so grateful to be a part of the International Coaching Federation, when we are building that message and we're bringing young people in close and early so that they understand that coaching is not just a nice thing that people do, or it's not, I don't know how to say this in the best way. You don't have to be old and wise to be a really incredible coach, right? And I love seeing all these young faces on the call, because when I started coaching 18 years ago, I was the baby in the room with a bunch of 60-year-old people, right? And like Tomas, I was one of the young coach leaders, and I'm so honored to have that. But I want that understanding about coaching, that it truly is a profession, that we are doing something very meaningful here. And I think that that connects so well with the younger generation. So how do we get ahead of that as an organization and as chapters? I think we continue to espouse that message. We continue to say coaching is a profession. It's something like Carrie was saying, it's out of the ordinary, it's transformational. And if you participate, it changes the course of your life forever, because that's what people want. I also think that, again, going back to the idea that if your chapter is filled with people who have made this journey, we want to be connecting them on that personal level with new people coming in and helping them, basically coaching them about how to build their practice or find their way forward with coaching, whether that's coaching as a manager in a different field or truly becoming an entrepreneurial coach or an internal coach. They're all good.
Yeah, yeah. Someone is saying, love that thought, Flame. You're resonating. And it is around the stereotype maybe of the coach, you know, the wise owl. And what does that say about us as a profession? And also something that's coming up for me, and maybe Carrie, you'll also speak to this, is how do we make the profession sustainable so that it is attractive to young people who have to make a living? Because in the past, perhaps there was quite a percentage of people who came into it kind of as a retirement gig. So, you know, the sustainability from an income point of view was not their main priority. So, you know, in attracting younger coaches, we have to make it a living wage. What are your thoughts beyond on that, Carrie, but beyond that as well, in terms of how chapters can connect with younger coaches?
Sure. Well, I think we learned in the keynote, right, that this next generation is highly entrepreneurial. They want the flexibility that a coaching career can provide. That's one of the reasons I went into coaching, because even pre-pandemic, I could work from home. I could see clients over the phone or via Zoom. I could be traveling the world and still meet with my clients on a regular basis. And that's a really attractive thing, that flexibility and the customization of building your own coaching company is really attractive to the next generation. And I think as chapters, we can become more proactive in a few ways. One, it's not just about showing our value as coaches and as ICF. It's about showing how they add value to our community. It's about showing the appreciation and embracing them wholeheartedly, their ideas, their energy, their excitement, and giving them a space to be seen and heard. Because again, we all want to be seen and heard, and we all want to feel valuable and special. And then the other thing I think that we can do is really communicate in ways that they prefer to be communicated in. ICF-LA recently did a project where we created a series of 17 short videos that are part of our onboarding process, and they're each about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes long. And that was, prior to that, we just had a bunch of information on the website that they could read. So now we walk them through, and in these short videos, they get to meet each of our board members and learn about how to navigate our community and how to make the most of it. And then we've also scheduled, right after each of our large chapter events, our C3 chapter events, within a few weeks, we've scheduled a small town hall meeting for all potential new members and all new members, so they can get that, you know, high touch, feel heard, ask any questions that they might have about the process. Because what we're finding is, particularly with the next generation, if they join our community and they become engaged and feel like a member, they will stay. But if not, they'll join for a year and then they're gone.
Yeah. I love that you're kind of creating these smaller communities for inclusion and belonging. And also that idea of those short, sharp videos, because I think, again, maybe in the past as an organization, you know, we've tended to have bulletins and newsletters and emails, and this is a more direct communication channel.
It's a lot simpler. So we, every month also, we put out a president's newsletter. And this year I've started condensing it and doing a short video as well. So you can watch the video and get the bullet points, or you can read the whole thing and get all the details, your choice.
Yeah. And that'll appeal to the different learning styles and communication styles. Really great. Yeah, thank you. Someone is saying a lot of organizations are adding internal coaching functions, and that this should create more viable jobs into the future. Tomas, have you any view on that, and just hear your broader thinking as well?
What is coming to my mind also, listening to the conversation, I was thinking about this comparison, like coaching, like to be as a profession as a doctor or lawyer. But in my mind, that's a very high threshold to become a lawyer or doctor. Okay, so you need like to study hard. So I'm thinking also, because what I'm meeting or seeing around me is that this threshold might be quite difficult. I mean, young generation, through a lot of researches, shows that they will change their profession 16, 20 times in their life, yes, or they will at least 5-6 times change completely their career. So we need to be also open and ready for that. Coaching is not going to be either for the full life, their profession, or it's going to be one of many things that they will do. So how to be also more open to, okay, so what if the people don't have this as the main profession in their life? Are we accessible and open for these kind of young people? Because there are going to be many, and I see already many around me. So this is also for me the question, and I like the change that ICF did recently, is from coach federation, which is more understanding for me in my eyes, like a federation of professional coaches than a coaching federation. So maybe more that we are an institution which show or keeps the high standards of a coaching and where others can rely to and get an inspiration. But we need to be open to spread this inspiration. And what I was last year struggling with was this like high threshold for the people who go through a coaching training and they don't know yet if they will become a coach or if they do it really a professional for their life. And for many, it didn't make a sense to just become a member of Global ICF at the first place because they just didn't know yet if it makes sense. And we were also, and that was my big inspiration from where we met some time ago in this panel to just share some inspiration that we had, like thinking about also maybe a different kind of membership for some maybe limited time in our chapter, which I know exists in some other chapters, like to get them in, to get an atmosphere, to see how we work, to see that we are really a sharing community, that we can learn from each other, that they can really get a sense of belonging. And when they find out that, okay, this is really something I want to do, this is the environment where I feel welcome, then of course it makes sense then to become full member with all the things that comes with it. So I think this might be one of the ways which we started to explore also in our chapter, which also brings a lot of like dilemmas, is how to make it maybe limited, or how to, where are the limits for whom it is, for whom it's not, what kind of training should these people then attend or finish. So this is just a discussion we have had in our chapter. We just opened them yesterday on the board, and they will go on. So I'm also looking for an inspiration from others, how they solve these things, and maybe we can then share also what we came up with. So this was going in my mind, thinking about the young generation.
Yeah, and there's so much in what you're saying, Tomas, because you're talking about how people's concept of career is changing. People's concept of association is changing. People's concept of membership is changing. And probably that's something at the global level as well. We need to look at more flexibility, and reinventing and redefining within the limits of a profession, of course, and standards of a profession. But that sort of flexibility and the fact that people might come in and out throughout their lifetime. Yeah, it's a very interesting thought. Can I ask? Yeah, continue.
Because it just came to my mind again, because we had just now a request that there is a coach which is now going on maternity leave. And she said also, I would like to become a member still with you as a community, but it doesn't make sense for me if I'm not working as a coach for 3 years to pay the membership fee. So these are also the aspects of the things that we need to count with and look for the opportunities how to keep people involved if they wish.
You're right, and through different life stages, the young parent might have a different need to the grandparent stage. Absolutely. I noticed in the chat function a couple of things. Somebody saying that what you've all touched on, having a sort of social consciousness raised around specific issues, very important for the younger generation. Would any of you like to share what type of social issues you think have rallied people in your area? Carrie.
So I think that right now, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very big issue, both in our community and in our nation. And I know that the next generation has very strong beliefs and opinions about what diversity, equity, and inclusion means. And they do not want to be part of a community that they don't feel believes those same beliefs. So we have created in this last year, we created a DEI committee, which is filled with amazing people with diverse perspectives. And they are coming up with both a mission statement for our chapter and also a plan for how we can create a community that really, really is equal and inclusive of all. And I know that as coaches, we think that we welcome everyone equally, but in actuality, sometimes that is a blind spot for us a little bit. And so we're actively working on that in terms of shifting the representation on our board, in our leadership, in our membership, in sponsoring what the future generation of coaches will look like, and also trying to be supportive of other groups and communities that also hold those same values.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're finding that great traction around the diversity issue. It seems to be cross-cultural, global, you know, it just resonates everywhere with everyone. Any of Flame or Tomas, what would you add to that list?
So here in our part of Nebraska, in Omaha, there is a very big wage gap. We have more millionaires per capita than any other city. And we also have a very low income part of the city. And it's a bigger discrepancy than in any other city of this size. So for us, that local issue is the one that has really impacted us and brought us together. And 2 years ago, we did a nonprofit project where we partnered with a nonprofit that helps to bridge that gap. They do it through children and families. And we gave pro bono coaching to the leaders of that organization. They had to apply. We had an open application process where nonprofits could apply, but this is the one that was ready for coaching and was the right size for us to be able to serve them. And like you said, galvanized our hearts in this direction that this would be good, not just for us in getting our names out there as coaches or for the organization, but actually for the ripple effect through the community. So start locally as well.
Yeah, I like that. And I think, again, there is more interest in local issues. You know, what people can see and directly impact.
You get to actually see it happening and see your community changing. And that's a really beautiful result that everyone feels good about.
Fantastic. Thanks, Flame. Tomas, would you add anything on that? That was Tanya's question from South Africa.
Well, I also see the topic of the education makes sense for also a lot of young coaches, because when we also talked about experience, sometimes, or when I started also my coaching career, then I felt skilled or experienced enough to coach people more or less my age or younger. So there's also, if they can really support some change in the young generation, and our education system is not that in that stage what everybody would wish for. So, for example, that's one of the topics where if we have an opportunities to help somehow, that resonates. And I think also this link with Ignite and the Sustainable Development Goals makes sense. Not all of them are in our region maybe that important, but as the climate change is the one. And now, I mean, with the conflict with Ukraine and a lot of people just coming from Ukraine to Slovakia, thousands staying here, this will bring another topic which will influence the society for next couple of years here. So this is something which is very fresh, but we need to react in some way.
Wow, great, thank you, Tomas. Yeah, some very kind of current issues, as you say, that coaching and local chapters could get involved with. Maybe our last question for the panel before we go into breakouts. Andrea from Arizona has made an interesting point. If I can just read her comment. She says, as more and more new coaches and younger coaches seem to be looking for third-party coaching provider companies like Better Up Pluma to get clients and be working as coaches, and those companies are putting intense downward pressure on coaching fees across the industry. How can chapters help to support new coaches to make a living wage? Any thoughts around the role of platforms, which we know is growing and increasing? And is that a barrier for young people or an opportunity for younger coaches? How do you see that playing out?
I don't think it's an either or. Carrie, I don't want to cut you off. Do you want to start?
Go for it, because I'm about to say the same thing.
Great. Of course, because we're coaches, right? It's not an either or, it's a both and. I think those platforms can offer tremendous stability for people. I think they can give you lots of practice coaching when you are still learning to go out and get clients. And I think as you grow in your coaching, you often want to go beyond that, right? You want to move beyond the safe container. So I think part of the way that chapters can engage in that is to, I keep calling it a booster shot. We can be that booster shot, that refreshing reminder that this is possible. You can go out on your own if you want, or you can find a full-time internal coaching position, or you can use the platforms. The key is to find the thing that works for you right now. And I think that's, for me, I remember, because I've been a part of ICF Nebraska most of my life as a coach. And I was not an MCC back then. I wasn't even an ACC, right? And I remember the incredible support that just seeing people really doing it. So when we talk about our own success stories, when we talk about the incredible diversity in our paths to what we call success, I think those are ways that chapters really keep people engaged and give them a lot of hope and agility about the future.
Yeah. And I love that kind of the chapter as cheerleader almost, you know, especially for those starting out, and being encouraging and welcoming. Yeah. Carrie, over to you. Thanks, Flame.
Sure. I think it is also an either or. And I think what's great about those programs is many of them offer additional resources for education, right? They're investing in their coaches. So I think that for a newer coach, someone who's trying to get their ACC or has recently gotten their ACC and are trying to get their PCC hours, where they're not really confident in client creation on their own yet, I think that it's a really great benefit, because I believe the more you coach, the better coach you'll be. And so that really gets some hours under the belt. I think where it can be a detriment is that sometimes it does trap someone in working so many hours just to pay their bills, but they never have time for client creation, or they never have time for networking and finding that in-house position. So in my opinion, it is a great stepping stone, but I don't see it as a sustainable, viable option for somebody who's really trying to do more than make ends meet. And I think that it also does a service to the coaching community and a disservice. It very much raises our visibility. I mean, goodness, Prince Harry became an ambassador of Better Up Coaching. That was all over everywhere. Everybody heard that. But also, I think people start to get a different idea about what coaching can be, right? If they think that they can get it for $50 an hour online, why would they ever pay more for that direct one-on-one connection? And so I think it's part of our job as chapters to really continue to educate potential clients and coachees on what coaching can be and what the different levels and what the variety and wealth of coaching is.
Great thoughts. Thank you. Tomas, would you like to add anything to that?
Just came to my mind that what is the difference between the senior person, which already, you know, has a managerial position in some company or its HR, and then they become a coach. They already have a huge network of people, most probably, which they can start with. But a young person, when they start with the coaching in early age, most probably their network is not that wide. So if they want to really to start or get credentials, then they use any opportunity they have around them to get this. And so, and it came to my mind again, like how inclusive we are giving them these opportunities from ICF, because the pro bono coaching ICF Ignite project, there is and it makes sense why, but there is a ideal recommendation that only renewed ACC people should be involved in pro bono coaching. It's just to ensure that there is a certain quality of the people which we offer officially, but then we also put a very high threshold for young people or not experienced coaches to participate. So again, yes, what is the priority? What do we want, and how much we also make rules that this is we are inclusive?
Yeah. It is a bit of a chicken and egg, isn't it? Because we want the image of coaching to be professional to those who experience it for the first time, and yet we want to create practice opportunities for the newbies, if you like, in the profession. So it's a dilemma. And thank you for bringing up, Tomas, the Ignite project. And, Kathleen Leander is with us this evening, and she's attached to ICF Foundation. So anyone who wants to find out more, reach out to Leander. If you haven't, Kathleen, I should say, if you haven't been involved in the Pro Bono Ignite project previously in your chapter. Very, very worthwhile. So with that, please join me thanking our wonderful panelists. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Flame. Thank you, Tomas. Keep up that wonderful work you're doing. Very inspirational, I'm sure, for our chapter leaders. Great ideas. And I think people are going to carry that in now to our breakouts. So thank you very much. A sort of virtual applause there for you. As we did earlier, we're going to transition now into our small breakouts. You have your questions there on screen, and you will also see your questions in the chat function. And once you're transported to your breakout room and you meet your new colleagues, please decide who's going to be your rapporteur. So enjoy your conversation. And I think the questions are up there for you. This is very much around sharing of best practice and practical ideas and suggestions. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. We had a very lively conversation in my breakout. I'm sure you had too. Over to you, Kathleen, and remember to raise your hand if you'd like to share what you heard.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'll call out Rebecca to share her thoughts from the group.
Thank you, everyone. We had a very engaging conversation with the members of our group who were from all over: Brazil, Greece, Toronto, Arizona, UAE, and California. And some of the themes that came up were to engage members of the younger generations, were to create sort of customized membership options where membership could maybe be an opt-in process for a limited time, perhaps at a reduced rate. Also, an idea to engage the younger generations was to allow them to invite a friend, which could help with some of that anxiety and creating a community for them to feel comfortable and invited in. Some of the groups talked about kind of having some ideas for millennials or younger generations to lead projects, and that might include pro bono coaching opportunities or opportunities to for younger board members to shadow older board members for a day, for a year, creating mock board member opportunities for younger generations to participate in. And then also sort of a college age or teenage advisory panel. Though there was some concern about too much change happening too quickly or the expectation of action. So lots to consider.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Over to you, Eugenia.
Thank you. We had a great exchange in our team also, a very multinational and multicultural team. So some ideas of what is already happening in the different chapters that we had in our team. So connect with private universities and also with MBA students. Providing pro bono coaching experiences. Another thing was a very important action also is to assign an older coachee to a more experienced one to become a mentor for the younger people that join, the younger coaches that join our chapter. So to have a buddy, a mentor in this journey. Also, it was an idea also to join ICF for a specific period without payment in order for them to experience what we are doing and what is the value that they will get if they really become a member. To encourage also pro bono opportunities, mainly to school leavers, young people, so that we can show them on their early steps what is coaching, and how it can be helpful for them. Also, we have a separate committee dedicated to youth. So we have a special committee which is their scope is to approach young people, but also to provide coaching experience to teachers and students and teenagers. And the last one is to participate in career days events, giving pro bono coaching to people that they are looking for the next job opportunity or the first job opportunity.
Thank you so much, Eugenia. Those are very interesting sharing. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sochi.
Hello, and the time just never seems to be enough. So we had a great team of members from New Jersey, Slovakia, Iceland, and Nigeria. And what we discussed was that right now, I mean, for the first point is there's some informal ways of recruiting or getting members engaged. But what we also discussed was really about getting some onboarding for new members or for younger members, just to get them to understand the chapter, what it's about, so some onboarding processes. And that's what is being done in one of the chapters as well. Then also, some more ideas are being discussed around maybe going at the university level, getting them exposed to coaching skills, and seeing how exposed to coaching skills and through coaching education, as well as getting them to experience what coaching is, and from there onboard them onto ICF. Also, some of us have like a more personalized approach, calling on the members and actually getting them to join some of the committees to get them engaged, as well as also there was a discussion also, we like the idea of the recruit partnership with a university and getting people to volunteer and be part of the teams that will coach at the university level, as well as going into organizations and educating and getting people to experience what coaching is and getting the members to be a part of that. So that was it from our end.
Thank you so much, Sochi. Those are very valid points. So I'll hand over to Aigu. Is that the way to say the name? I don't know.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much. Greetings, everyone. We also had very interesting discussion from coaches, representatives from all over, ICF Global, US, Italy, and Kazakhstan, and Netherlands, of course. It's interesting how the space is working, and because we are like-minded people, because we're coaches, we think alike, and a lot of ideas that already colleagues mentioned, we also discussed them. Some of the action points that people want to take is use the consumer survey results and bring them to chapters and see what they can do, how they can use it in chapters. And communication is very important, because it's important to know who are represented in chapters, show the diversity, show the coach profiles, invite coaches and engage them. And the idea of short videos resonated a lot. Also, the mentor program for new coaches, it can be challenging, time consuming, because you need to find and match people and so, but this is probably what young generation people not only want, but they need, especially because our colleagues shared that when they were younger and beginner coaches, they experienced, I would say, bullying from some senior managers, something like, who you think you are to coach me or what you have to say. So, and experienced coaches can help the younger coaches to build the confidence, to help to build the competencies, and not to be afraid and go out there and start doing coaching, working as coaches. Coach education for younger generation, it can be sometimes unaffordable. So one of the ideas is to how to make it more affordable for young generation people. to cooperate perhaps with universities, with colleges. So this is probably every chapter, every leadership team will think about and find the solutions. But this is something to consider. Yeah, and because even teenagers and children can ask powerful questions, powerful coaching questions. So there is a huge opportunity out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really love the idea of mentorship. That was really good, and all the ideas that you shared. Thank you so much. Over to you, Anne. One more, then we finalize.
So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share the ideas of our group. And we were people from the Netherlands, from Egypt, and from India, and from other places. And we discussed the idea of the older and younger people and what it has to do with the impression of how is ICF perceived and how is ICF perceived within the perspectives of different ages, and how to include those different perspectives and give them the opportunity to bring in their own needs and to offer an embracing environment for them. So this was a kind of an open discussion with less strategic elements, and we had great fun there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anne. Linda, can we take one more? Shweta?
Go for it.
Okay. So just we had a very different and unique discussion, because in our group, a lot of the chapters said they'd never thought of engaging members as younger or older. So their way of looking at the members had been by their journey or by their credential. So our group found it very insightful to consider that this could be a way to engage more members into their chapters. And we had larger groups, like 140 plus members. We also had one of our members had a very small chapter of 30 members, and they struggled to find people to lead the chapter or volunteer in the chapter. So we had a very interesting discussion about how thinking of it from this perspective could be a whole new idea to get more energy, to get younger members. And so just want to share that yes, there are chapters out there who are not even thinking of younger and older yet.
Wonderful. I think this is where we close it up. Over to you, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. And my goodness, we're a wonderful tribe. So much insight, so many ideas. Keep them coming. Fantastic.